God of High School achieved something no other anime has managed to do in the past decade. It provided us a viewing experience we haven't had since coming home from school and watching Dragon Ball on Toonami. A true old school anime viewing experience.
And by that, we mean it feels like we missed a bunch of episodes in between viewings, but the action looks cool, so we just deal with it. But now it's applied to individual scenes themselves?
Oh, damn! Think of an episode of a TV show like a cake. Babish voice, babish voice. Think of an episode of a TV show like a cake. The dry mix is the setting and the theme, whilst the wet mix is the character and the plot. But you're not done yet. Mixing the ingredients together may make something reminiscent of a cake, but I doubt you want to dig into a batch of uncooked eggs. Woo! That's why you cook the cake, which is a delicate balance. Okay, I can't do this. I need more whiskey.
Wait a minute! Oh my god!
That's why you cook the cake, which is a delicate balance. You don't want to cook it for too long, which can lead to a dry end product, nor do you want to cook it for too short, because it will just fall apart into mush. Similarly, just because an episode has all the ingredients to be good, doesn't mean that it is. And in this admittedly odd comparison, cooking or pacing a story for too long leads to an incredibly dull experience, and pacing it too quickly removes all of its impact. And when it comes to God of High School, they threw the cake in an unheated oven, pulled it out 20 seconds later, used the frosting to make it look pretty, which is the art and the animation in this example, and they threw it in our faces like a chimpanzee with their
Next thing I know, he was doing combination kicks.
Well, that's not entirely true for the first 3 episodes. God of High School starts off decent, the characters are simple yet likable, the action is amazing and the mysteries were interesting enough. But then episode 4 hit and the show took a turn for the absolute worst.
やっぱり結婚はできません。ごめんなさい。私は私にできる方法で結婚権を守っていくから。
I'm still struggling to understand why they would add this episode here. Why would I care about a character I only just met? Why do Jin and Han care about someone they just met? I haven't even been told anything about Mira or the Moonlight Sword and I'm expected to understand the stakes. I don't even know what the f this thing is. And what's so frustrating is this could have all been avoided if they just took their time. I like Mira's arc and the lore behind the sword. I like Jin and Han's friendship. I even like the sister. I just hate its execution. Mira went from being a bright and strong fighter who cares deeply about her sword, so much so she smacks Jin over it, to becoming a submissive coward who no longer cares about it. This should have been saved towards the end of the season. You know, after the characters actually develop the friendship. These people aren't friends, they're teammates. Say what you about Naruto, and I will say a lot about it. They handled this really well, and those guys went through near-death experiences together. You can see the show forcing this undeserved friendship throughout, and I can't think of a better example than the very next episode.
After Han committed what I'd consider to be overkill on the Hulk on Mira, he goes up against Jin at the end of the... Wait, this isn't the finale? Anyways, after Stone Cold stunning Mira to the ground over the loss of his cancer-ridden friend, Han fights Jin, and it really is a spectacle that works on an emotional level. Han isn't fighting to win, he's fighting to forget. You can see how desperate he is not to have to grieve over the loss of his friend. So when Mira gives him some inspirational words and a final saying from that friend, it becomes a truly sweet moment, as he allows himself to go through the stages of grief and finds himself surrounded by those that also care about him. Well, in theory. In reality, this moment is great in isolation. In context, why the f does Han consider Jin to be a friend? Why is Mira allowed to be on the stage? And why does what she say get through to him? It's so clear to see how forced this friendship is when the flashback can only recall 2 noteworthy moments. It's unfortunate because if they had developed their friendship, if they had given us a reason to care about Han or his friend, or Mira's well-being, or anything in the show as a whole for that matter, this would have been one of the strongest moments in anime in a decade. But with what we got, it just looks nice.
Hey, Schmidt, just...
This is so terrible.
And unfortunately, it doesn't get better from here. We were already angry because they just ruined what could have been truly incredible storytelling, but we were still willing to give it a shot, because it had its upsides and character traits, a simple narrative and amazing character design. But that's pretty much gone from here on, as it just focuses on everyone but the main characters, and I mean everyone. There is so much focus on unnecessary flashbacks for characters who are unimportant in that moment. Even characters designed to get beaten by the main cast to progress through the ranks have so much time wasted on them. Granted, they did this before, but I thought those characters were important at the time, so I didn't mind. Plus, they looked great. These guys look bland. which is perfectly fine with filler background characters, but not fine when you put so much attention on them. In episode 9 itself, we saw Jin attempt to save his grandpa, which turns out to be an ambush. Mira fights someone who holds the Moonlight Sword. Han gets ambushed by some random girl. We find out that the guy with the sword is a doppelganger. The girl fighting Han kisses him without his consent. Mira searches deep into herself and realizes she is a protagonist and must win before unlocking her god form, which is still not explained to us. Like, seriously, can people see this shit? If they can, why aren't they screaming? I have so many questions. There's a reason why Hunter keeps this stuff close to his chest early on, guys. It ends with Jin returning just in time for his fight, where he performs the same moves on 2 different people that look like it's been edited by a YouTube channel, pointing out plagiarism for itself. That is way too many beats for an episode solely dedicated to boring action scene after boring action scene. It really feels like I should be caring, and I'm sure I would be if I was reading the manga, but all I feel is anger towards the anime. I'm gonna go sit down.
This brings us to our final point. We don't know much about the manhwa except for one massive change that happened in the anime. This doesn't happen in the manhwa. Instead, the job gets done by Mira, a character that's got the short end of the stick throughout the season. Her action scenes are the weakest. Her arc is hollow, and she's got the least to do in general.
Lady,
she gets undermined in her own episode with One Punch Han, and once again the chiropractor Monkey King dubstepping his way to victory. This scene gave context to Mira's actions and made her deserving of being a protagonist. She really shines as a fighter, and it's a decent subversion to shonen tropes. This also humanizes Jin, who had only lost 1 fight before, which isn't even mentioned in the anime, by the way. It would have helped to develop his character even slightly. 2 birds in 1 stone. So after reading a few chapters for context, I just have to ask.
Why? I don't know.
Alright, we're finally done. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
So, do you think it's obvious we're binging New Girl?
Nah.